Hi everyone, do not adjust your sets. Yes, it is Wednesday, but you have got Yinka here with a crime update, this time on a case that I brought to you last year on the anniversary. If you haven't seen my video on the murder of George Floyd, then I'm going to put a link in the description for you, and also one of those clickable links up in one of these corners in the video. He was 46 years old when he bought a pack of cigarettes from a convenience store in South Minneapolis on the 25th of May 2020. The clerk thought that he used a fake $20 note, and when he refused to give the cigarettes back, the police were called. When they arrived, they ordered George Floyd out of his vehicle and they handcuffed him. There was a struggle, there are loads of videos on this on the internet, but I'm not going to show you George Floyd's last moments, and I didn't do that in the original video in which I covered this case. For me, I don't want to see black people being murdered on YouTube, on Twitter, on the news, and with the coverage of this trial, that's what's been happening over and over and over again. And for me, it's just harrowing. Derek Chauvin is the man who killed George Floyd by pinning him to the ground with his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And you probably know that that trial came to conclusion yesterday and the verdict was reached. A 12-member jury took less than a day. It was around 10 hours to come to their conclusion. It followed a highly charged 3-week trial that left Minneapolis on edge, from the barricades before the trial even began to the daily protests outside. Several hundred people gathered outside the courthouse and cheered when the verdict was announced, because the jury found Derek Chauvin guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter. The Floyd family lawyer said that it marked a turning point in history for the US, but I guess we have to wait and see on that one. It's going to be another 8 weeks before the county judge, Peter Cahill, will sentence Derek Chauvin. He has to consider loads of options because under the Minnesota guidelines, the minimum sentence is 12.5 years for the most serious charge, which in this case is second-degree murder. Now, third-degree murder carries a maximum penalty of 25 years, and manslaughter in second degree carries a maximum sentence of 10 years or a fine of $20,000. Of course, prosecutors are asking for higher than the minimum, arguing the aggravating circumstances in this case, but it's unclear what the judge is going to decide. He could impose that all the sentences are served concurrently, which means at the same time, or that they served consecutively, which means one after the other. If they're concurrent, 12.5 years is the minimum amount of time that Derek Chauvin would be spending in jail. If they are consecutive, it could mean as long as 75 years behind bars. Derek Chauvin was on bail up until yesterday when it was revoked with the guilty verdict. He's currently being held at the Minnesota Correctional Facility, Oak Park Heights. That's what officials told the media. One last thing before I go and see you on Sunday. 3 other officers were involved in the murder of George Floyd. Tao Thao, J. Alexander Kung, and Thomas Lane. They are also all facing trial with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. The men, who were all fired from their positions, are currently free on bail, and the trial is scheduled for the 23rd of August this year. If found guilty, they could be facing as long as 40 years behind bars. I've seen so many statements from Boris Johnson to Joe Biden, the President of America, talking about this being a shift and a change in the way that race is seen and treated in America. Of course, that comes with a pinch of salt, as black people are still being killed at the hands of the police. And only hours after we got the verdict in the case of Derek Chauvin, another name is trending online, as Ma'Khia Bryant, a 16-year-old girl, was shot and killed by police officers yesterday in America as well. I just wanted to pop in and give you some of the facts on the case, because with all of the think pieces and emotional reactions and statements and all those sort of things coming from everywhere, sometimes the facts can get lost, and I think they're pretty important in times like this. I will see you on Sunday for a regularly scheduled episode of a 10-minute true crime story here on my YouTube channel. And until then, just check in on your black friends and family. Make sure they're doing okay, because yes, a guilty verdict is what we all hoped for and is the right thing to have happened, but it's a step, it isn't the solution.